that the original lineup is the only one. Listen, I agree with all you guys. The original lineup, as far as I'm concerned, is the quintessential kid. Quintessential, big word, like gymnasium. A lot of letters in there. Gene, Paul, Ace, Peter. That's right. That's the original lineup. That's the one people are going to remember if there's going to be anyone. But to a lot of people, that original lineup, they never got a chance to see that lineup until they saw the reunion tour.
Yeah, there was no comparison when I saw you guys. It's still a great show, Radio 7, but I finally got to see it in '96. I mean, it was just awesome.
All right, Steve, a lot of people waiting. What's your question?
Yeah, my question is, when you guys finally do your final shows around here, is it going to just be one show, or will you do like a series of them or something?
They're great questions, and I honestly, and I'm not trying to evade it, I don't know the answer. I don't know the answer because I don't know who's going to be in the band. I don't know how the band's going to feel. I can't tell. Because if you're asking me how I am, I'll play anytime, anywhere in front of one person or a million people. Paul is likewise. And then the rest of the team has got to be a team. So a team is a four-wheel drive vehicle. As you know, a Jeep doesn't work too well on two tires. You need four tires carrying an equal load. So we'll see. Incidentally, just FYI, 2 or 3 days ago, Paul and I were with Peter at the Naris Awards, where we got the Heroes of New York Award, where Garth Brooks, God bless him, sent us a video because he couldn't be there to present us the award in front of 50,000 people at Padre Island, where 50,000 people were, in essence, singing our praises. It's always appreciated. And, Peter was great. He seems happy and healthy, and, we were happy to hang out, and we kidded around and stuff, despite the fact that Peter didn't go with us to Japan and Australia.
Right.
P.S. At the end of the day, as a postscript, our family is no different than yours. We fight like cats and dogs about all kinds of stuff, but I'd like to think that the fights are about important stuff, which is you don't get up until on that stage unless you deserve to be, period. Same rules apply to me.
Well, there's going to be, and there was a can of worms open for people who read the advanced version of this book, because the first words in it are, when the final chords of Rock and Roll Night, All Night, ring out in Shea Stadium, which had everybody calling in on the internet and phone saying, when is Kiss playing Shea Stadium? So is there some at least loose plan at this point that would be the final show?
Absolutely not.
So where did that come from in the book?
It came from Gene Simmons, the writer of the book.
Okay. So that's your image of how you would think it would end.
Sure.
Or hope it would end.
Yeah, and I'm saying when I finally walk off stage right, well, it could be stage left.
Right.
But in essence, if I were to end the story, I'd end it on top of Shea Stadium. Something about the Beatles, and there's a very sort of bittersweet moment. I never got a chance to see the Beatles live. The closest I ever got a chance to see them was I was coming back from work, and they were playing Shea Stadium, and the subway station literally stopped at the subway station called Shea Stadium. It's an actual stop on the elevated subways. And when the doors opened, I heard 50,000 fans going nuts, and I was eating my heart out. I went, God, I wish I could be there.
Mm.
Well, maybe the next time I'm there, I'll be on stage.
For you guys who are calling in on the phone, in this call alone, we've answered about 5 of the calls that are up on the screen right now.
They're not going off.
And they're not going to go, but we'll do something with them. We do want to tell somebody asking again when you're at Barnes & Noble. That's this Wednesday in the city, Barnes & Noble, Astor Place, starting at 6 o'clock, where Gene is signing copies of the new book, Kiss and Makeup. So that is the place to be.
And since you're giving out information, if you want to find out everything there is to know about Kiss, you can log on to KissOnline.com. By the way, check out the Kiss Girls of Kiss. Nice. It's good to be heterosexual. You should see it. And if you want to know what the hell I'm doing outside of the band, and it's going to piss you off because I'm doing all kinds of stuff, log on to GeneSimmons.com.
There's a GeneSimmons.com. Is that new now? Is that a new development?
It was around as a fan site. I tried to explain to a great guy named John Ritchie, who's a fan, who decided that he owned GeneSimmons.com, and I said that you probably don't, and here's why. But you've been such a great guy. Why don't you become the webmaster? You've been there long enough, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be the webmaster. But since it's a kind of a tug and pull for me, because I do a lot of stuff outside the band, and I often feel uncomfortable talking about that stuff within KISS because it's not fair. So I thought GeneSimmons.com would be a nice place to talk about the other stuff without sort of undermining what the band is all about.
Harry, you're on live with Gene Simmons. What's going on? Harry? Harry?
Hey, what's going on, Eddie?
Hey, you're on with Gene Simmons, whose
Gene.
cell phone is ringing.
Yeah, let's take it on the air. Let's see who the hell.
Hold on, Harry. We have to see who's calling Gene on the air. Hold on one second. You got to get it before it goes to voicemail.
Can't even get it.
Gotta get it before my battery runs out.
You're on a cell phone too?
Yeah, man.
Hold on. Hello?
Gene Simmons with a phone
live
call.
on radio.
Live in New York City on the cell phone.
Hold on. Say hello. People can hear you on the radio. Say hello. Say it again.
Hello, this is Georgia.
Georgia, I'm on live radio. I'm going to have to call you back.
Who's Georgia?
Georgia Frontieri is a woman who wrote a book that I was going to produce as a movie, and she had a fascinating story. She married a young guy in the Genovese family, and it's all about her life in and out of sort of marrying her Prince Charming and finding out that he was something else.
The same woman that owns the Rams?
No.
The football team?
No, not Georgia Frontieri. Georgia... you're right.
Somebody just thought the Rams owner did that.
No, it's not Frontieri. It's Georgia... God, I forgot her last name.
Well, if it's not her, it's inconsequential, but it's good we cleared that up. All right, Harry, you're still with us?
Yeah, man, I'm still here.
All right, go ahead with Gene.
Actually, first I wanted to tell Gene, thanks for the years of music. I've been a fan of the band's and his for years and years and years.
It's
a million questions that I'd like to ask, and hopefully Eddie will get to a couple of them. But any KISS fan knows that you're very hands-on with a lot of the projects that the band is involved in outside of the music. I want to know what projects you might be most excited about, and maybe what those timetables be for some of those things coming up.
Outside of the band or within the band?
Outside of the band.
You mean non-KISS stuff or KISS stuff?
Yeah, like we've heard about the Broadway show, the cartoon.
Well, those are KISS things.
Right.
You mean KISS things?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there's going to be a KISS Broadway show. Rob Roth looks like is going to be the director, but we'll figure it out. He directed Beauty and the Beast. We're talking with Stephen Trask, who wrote the music and the lyrics for Hedwig and the Angry Inch. Paul and I met both guys, and we're well on the way. I just made a deal with Mainframe Entertainment that does Beast Wars and Transformers, and there's going to be a KISS superhero show on television. They've already started production. I mean, there's so many KISS projects, and all of it's going to happen. You know, we were the what do they call, the Grand Marshals of NASCAR this year. Next year there'll be lots of stuff. You know, it's never ending. The truth is there are no vistas that can't be conquered, which means we can conquer anything. You know, all the rules that people thought existed don't exist. You can make your own rules.
We're talking with Gene Simmons on Friday Night Rocks here on 102.7 WNEW. Get one more call, and then we'll get something on from the box set. Let's talk to Dennis. He's been waiting for a long time. What's up, Dennis?
Hello.
Hey, you're on with Gene Simmons.
Hey, Eddie, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, Gene, how are you?
Great.
It's really incredible to talk to you. I mean...
I'm good. Gene is great. You can see the hierarchy right there.
How
and you can see why Gene's great if you read the book. Incidentally, hold on a second, Dennis. Gene, I'm getting married in 3 months.
Sorry, I'm not familiar with that.
I know you're not. I read the book. But I felt like I haven't lived at all after reading this book.
Well, here's my only problem with the notion of marriage. Marriage is an age-old institution. I've been told it's the most wonderful institution. And what's needed in this institution is commitment. If that doesn't sound like a nut house, I don't know what is. That's point one. Point two is the only thing wrong with marriage is that usually, but not always, one of the two getting married is a man. That's the only problem with it. And see, and the third one, and most important one, is once you get married, if you take that oath, you better be true to that oath. It says you will have to croak before you get divorced. You will have to support her in the manner to which she's become accustomed to, which in the legal parlance is half of pre-tax gross dollars.
For me, it's not much of an issue, but for you,
then it hurts more. I got news for you. The more money you have, the less it hurts. So my point is, if you're going to get married, you better stay married forever, because if you get divorced, you have two balls? Sorry, you're going to be left with one, because she's tearing it out, entrails and all.
I'm reading this book last night, and I'm saying to myself, Jesus God, I haven't lived yet.
Wait a minute.
No, but I felt like I haven't lived yet. I mean, you know, everything you've done, and the women, and this and that, and I'm sitting here thinking to myself,
the only thing wrong with the thing wrong with marriage conceptually is that somebody other than the one who gave you birth gets a chance to tell you where to go and what to do. My mother stopped doing that 30 years ago. The notion that some other grown-up, male or female, if you're straight or gay, is going to tell you, look, you better be home by 11 o'clock, who you're talking to and where you... Who wants to know? Who gave somebody the right to ask me that questions? Get out of here.
Dennis, what's your question for Gene before I get in trouble?
I have two questions, actually. My first question would be, is there any possibility of seeing maybe the Bruce Kulick lineup, maybe with Eric Singer and some small clubs, maybe doing some of the like Unholy and some of that stuff, Tears Are Falling, and
it's a great idea. We did try to do that with Eric Singer, trying to introduce him to the fans by I think we played 10 cities in clubs. And, just to give the fans a chance to come up close and see.
That would be great.
Well, we did that. And so the notion of doing it again is probably going to be difficult because Kiss is a very bizarre band because we existed without makeup for just as many years as we did with makeup.
I love that stuff so much. All of that stuff was great.
And then, so what do I do with the fans who don't like that stuff, who only like the makeup stuff?
I think what the fans are looking for is the farewell tour of the non-makeup, asylum, animalized, lick it up period.
Those are not the numbers I'm getting. I'm getting
maybe some like secret shows or something would be cool,
But then nobody will know about it. Nobody will come.
Well, the true fans would know. I would know.
Well, but that doesn't work because secret, by definition, means most people don't get to hear it.
Right.
Dennis, real quick, we got to go. What's your...
The second question would be, I'm a guitarist. I'm in a band called Sex on Mars, and I was just wondering if I may be able to have an opportunity to maybe send some material to Gene, maybe some music or some discs and some stuff, maybe.
I'd be happy to. If you don't mind sending it to Ed, Ed will relay it to me wherever I am because, as you may guess, on any given week, I could be in any given city.
Dennis, if you go on my website, you'll see a little tab that says A&R, and all the info on how to get it to me is there. And if Gene wants to hear it, I'll certainly get it to him.
I'd be happy to listen.
Let's play a track. Can you stay a little while longer? I mean,
sure. Can I get a lap dance before I go?
What's that?
Can I get a lap dance before I go?
If there's any ladies listening who would like to come and give Gene a lap dance?
I'm looking at you, babe.
Not me. You don't want my big ass doing a lap dance.
Yeah, well, you're not married yet.
I have yet... This is the first time ever that I've mentioned on the air that I'm getting married in a few months. Not that it's a big deal to listeners,
you're
but...
on crack. You are out of your mind. And that doesn't mean that love doesn't exist. Listen, I'm a guy who's an avowed skirt chaser.
Gene, hold on. Before you finish this, we should mention that what you're about to say, and a lot of it, for those that want more in-depth about it, is in the book.
All in the book, yeah. My philosophy about stuff, I have 2 kids. Love them to death. Would give my life without hesitation for my kids, okay? There's no question about that. That's my philosophy. For a guy who has my philosophy about make sure you be selfish, make sure you make yourself happy, because at the end of your life, right before they're about to stick you 6 feet under, you can't make the speech. I woulda, I shoulda, I coulda. It doesn't fly. You must make yourself happy, even if somebody else doesn't get it. Even if the woman you love or the women you love don't get it, that doesn't matter. Isn't it true that your mom and dad didn't understand most of the stuff you did? You did it anyway because you wanted to make yourself happy. That doesn't dilute or diminish in any way your love for your parents. So I'm here to tell you that what you're taught in philosophy and society is wrong. It is a fantasy. The most important thing in life is to make yourself happy. That's the only choice you've got. Because everybody keeps talking about, are you happy? Well, I got to go to my aunt's house and got to sit around for turkey dinner. You really want to be there? No, I don't, but I got to do it. You don't have to do it. Do what you want to do. Don't go there and torture yourself. You're going to sit across the table, and Aunt Rosa's going to say, so how you doing? Well, I got a backache, and, I forgot, I got gas, and that's just what you want to hear. You want to be out with the guys running around.
I want to have Gene do an address at my wedding. Were you flying from L.A. and
I just want to know.
Gene is making the speech.
But I just want to know whether or not you're going to uphold the oath. See,
absolutely. I wouldn't be doing it if I wasn't.
That's what everybody says.
I know, so what can I say?
Here's what I can say. Do you understand the words? The words mean that from the day forward that you slip the ring on your beloved's finger, you will have no other women physically, not her sister, nobody, except the one that you marry. That's number one.
Right.
Even if you wanna, even if you don't get along, because under God and the Pope and all the other things that you hold dear, society and your friends and everybody, you're taking an oath. See, I'm all about taking the oath If you believe it, that means even if you don't want to stay there, you got to be with her until you die. That's what you're saying. Till death do us part. Are you ready to take that oath? Because if you are, you're a better man than I.
Let's play the oath from the elder. How about that? Is that a good time?
Good idea. Until you die.
I will forever, the rest of my life, remember looking across this console into the eyes of Gene Simmons.
Well, I'll get my ass, so that's not as bad.
and remembering this conversation. And hopefully remembering it and saying, he didn't know what the hell he was talking
That's
about.
right. And your wife
this
is
is
going,
wonderful.
And your wife is going, oh, God, he knows the secret. God damn it. Why is he telling him the secret? I almost had one. By the way, men are called, he's a catch, because we're trying to get away.
Do you really want to play the oath from the elder?
Whatever you want.
It's not really one of your
hate that
songs,
song.
but I figured you did.
Hate that song.
Give me something from the box set to play.
The box set. How about one of the demos that people haven't heard? How about...
I played Deuce before.
How about, people would like to hear is God of Thunder with Paul Stanley singing the original demo that he did, which bears very little resemblance to the final version of God of Thunder. And while you're looking for it, I'll continue to talk because I love the sound of my own voice. Even as you're putting it in right now, she said, and here comes the track that you want to hear. Here's God of Thunder with Paul Stanley singing lead.
We have played this before on the show, and it's very cool. Check it out. Back with more with Gene Simmons. Friday Night Rocks, WNEW, New York City. On Friday Night Rocks, 102.7 WNEW, New York City. It's Eddie Trunk with Gene Simmons here. We should remind you guys that the Big New York Steel benefit, which was last week, VH1, The Rock Show, I think it's on either now or 12:30, is going to be doing a special hour, and you can see what went on there, and that'll be coming up shortly. So check that out. Certainly don't turn off the radio, but get your VCRs running for that, because we do have Gene Simmons here, a huge show for you tonight. Let's get right back to the phone calls if... you're up for it, Gene. Is that cool?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Where to begin? Let's talk to Chris, who is in Chester. What's up, Chris? You're on with Gene Simmons.
Hey, guys. Gene.
Yes.
Eddie, how are you? It's Chris the Kiss fan from Jersey. How you guys doing?
All right.
Oh, great. Which exit?
Gene, listen. All right, Wicked Lester stuff. On the box set, those tunes from Wicked Lester are awesome. Keep Me Waiting is an excellent song. Lita, all that stuff.
Right.
When can we see maybe that Wicked Lester album be put out?
Eventually. I honestly, thanks for the question. I honestly don't know the time frame because there's so many things that have yet to come out. There are old shows that nobody's ever seen, including the bootleggers, never saw it. And clearly the rest of the Wicked Lester record will come out as a full album someday. But before that, people are asking, when is Alive 4 coming? And I wish I could answer you with a time frame, when it's right.
Is it accurate to say that even after Kiss does a final show, if you do a final show, that the band will still exist, but just not as a touring entity? I mean, that stuff will still come out at some point?
Here's the way I'll answer it. And the answer is yes to everything. And here's why. This thing called rock and roll, and it's still rock and roll. I don't care if you call it new wave, osh wave, bowel movement, this movement. It's still rock. If you're playing electric guitars, it's still rock and roll. And this thing is a new thing. It is a bastard child of music, where basically unqualified people get a chance to play and become enormously popular. Before rock and roll, everybody had to learn to read and write music, classical music, even jazz musicians are very schooled. You're talking about a lot of unqualified people who have enormous passion, but not a lot of savvy in terms of how to play instruments. Yeah, I know Neil Peart's a great musician, and Yngwie Malmsteen is a great... Trust me, none of these guys could shine the shoes of a classical or a jazz musician, and they'd be the first ones to tell you. So at the end of the day, there are very strict ideas, only because all the other bands have played that game, of what a rock band is. And I never just wanted to be in a rock and roll band. I wanted to be in a rock and roll brand. I wanted to be Disney without the overhead. So all the notions of what a band is supposed to be are warped, because there are bands that make T-shirts who think they're not in the same business as Kiss because they only make T-shirts. And I'm here to tell you there's no difference in putting a CD out and a ticket and a T-shirt and what we do, because that's branding. As soon as you put your name on something, you're selling your name. And so all the other areas that other bands haven't thought of, that we're fearless and unapologetic and actually proud of doing, means that there's going to be lots of stuff you're going to be scratching your head about. And so maybe it'll make itself a little bit clearer when I give you this story. When I was a kid, I saw the Flintstones. And I loved the show. And lots of people like the show. Except there's nothing preventing Fred Flintstone from becoming a one-a-day vitamin, you see. Even if it doesn't make any sense in the world.
Good point.
It can make absolutely no sense. What does a caveman have to do with one-a-day vitamins for your children? I don't care if it makes sense. I think it's cool. And if we think it's cool, it will happen. And that includes making fun of death. You want a Kiss casket, which doubles as a cooler? Get one. Get on kissonline.com, and you can get yours, or go down to your local funeral parlor.
And if you would like the Kiss book, Kiss and Make Up, it's out in stores this Tuesday. And if you'd like the Kiss box set, that is in record stores now, with the exception of the Super Deluxe version. And the number on that is
866 Kiss Box. And to those pundits out there who are listening to this, who are sort of fringe people who, that Kiss, those guys, they wear makeup. Number one, we're too big to argue with. We're right behind the Beatles in the number of gold records by any groups in history. So if you want to argue about the stuff, don't pick an argument with me. I just do what the people want. Argue with Kiss fans. They number in the millions. Good luck to you.
The question I have before we go back to the phones on this front about merchandising in the band, and you address this in the book again, where you talk about how it's really, you're the one most passionate about it. Sometimes Paul's not so sure.
Oh, most of the time.
Yeah, my question is this. I see interviews and have heard in tapes of interviews with you guys from the time of like 1979, 1980. And in that time period, it's not you so much, but it's usually Paul that always said the band became a joke, the merchandising got too big, and it stopped being about rock and roll and all that, and that's what ruined the band.
I don't agree.
So that was my question. What changed now 20 years later?
The band became a joke because the members stopped believing in the magic. Period.
So that's where you and Paul have a bit of a distancing on how this stuff works.
Paul initially feels queasy about some of this stuff that comes out, and then afterwards he's proud to give it to his friends because, wow, I didn't know you guys had a Kiss lunchbox. He goes, oh yeah, we go where other bands can't go after the fact. Before it, it's like, that's kid stuff. Well, when your kid is 6 years old and he takes his Kiss lunchbox, your own son, to school, you feel kind of proud.
And it ain't bad when the checks come in either.
Everything anybody does is for money. Don't ever trust anybody who says, I got enough money. That guy's lying.
I'm not doubting that at all.
And anybody who says, money's not important, that guy's lying. Because let me give you a question, and if you answer it positively, you and I are exactly alike. Here goes. God says you have a wallet in your pocket, and you ladies have a purse. Now, you can have one wish from me. In terms of money in your wallet or your purse, you can either say, I want more, or I want less. What would you pick?
Of course, more.
See? You and I are exactly alike.
I don't deny it at all.
I want more. Never trust the guy that says, I have enough.
I agree 100%.
That guy's lying.
This is a question that I wanted to know about. You know, I told Gene off the air that I enjoyed reading the book tremendously, and I also really enjoyed reading the booklet inside the Kiss box set. And the one thing, Gene, that I noticed in the last year or so, and you address this right in the front of the book, where you say it's time everybody grows up, and it's time that there are things that we necessarily didn't talk about in the past, but there's a time when you finally sit your kids down and you tell them this is how it really was, and all due respect to whoever you may offend in the book, but you're going to tell it like it is.
You have to.
And you've done that in the book. I noticed you were really honest in the VH1 2-hour special on the band, which I thought was great.
You have to. Because if we pride ourselves with a very special relationship with our fans, from the very beginning, we tried to tell the truth as much as we could and as much as we thought the fans could handle. You know, when my little girl first came up to me and sort of wanted to know the nature of life, I didn't quite go into the graphic detail. She wouldn't understand it and perhaps couldn't deal with it. So you tell children as much as they can sort of get, comprehend. And later on, when everybody gets mature, we've had a relationship with our fans, some of them, for almost 30 years. And if we pride ourselves with the sense that it is about you, we introduce ourselves with that first word. You wanted the best. Not about us. We work for you. And if we demand honesty from you, Just check the Kiss Online website. They'll rip us a new butthole every time they think we're messing up. And it's welcome. It really is. I may not agree with you, but at the end of the day, you deserve honesty, at least from me. Paul is completely honest. I don't believe Ace and Peter have been completely honest with the fans.
But this is the first time in writing and on the record, both in the book and in the liner notes of the box set, where you openly admit certain people who did not play on records, who did play on records. Ace didn't play a lick on Creatures. I was surprised, and I don't know if I read this right. Did Ace play at all on Destroyer?
Oh, yes. Ace didn't play on... first of all, Ace didn't... By the time Destroyer came in, Ace's chemical and alcohol consumption got to the extreme. I was oblivious to most of it because to this day I can't tell if somebody's high or not. I just don't hang out with people that use the stuff. But it became obvious that something was going on because at one point, and I go into that in the book,
right.
Ace said, look, I got to leave here. Let me finish my solo because I got a card game at 7. So the person couldn't even get back up to their room. That's Ace, God bless him. You know, and you can't change him, and he knows about it. In fact, I called him. I'll answer the question in a second. I called him before the book came out, and I said, Ace, I love you. You know, we've been together a long time. I want you to know this book is coming out. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth is coming out, as far as I know. And this is not meant to be malicious. I would tell you as my best friend, mess up. As far as I'm concerned, it pisses off a lot of people. It affects the band and the fans because you bring your personal business onto the stage, and I don't appreciate it. And so, and Peter, too, has had his ups and downs. And at the end of the day, Ace has an interesting streak in him. I admire it. I don't know if I could be as upfront. He said, hey, good luck. God bless you with the book. Everybody knows I'm a mess up. He used another word.
Right.
And there's nothing there that people don't suspect about me. He was very upfront. You know, that part of Ace I respect. And I'll say this to everybody that's listening in. Oh, my beloved Kiss, you know, they're fighting. We're not fighting. There's nothing going on now that hasn't been going on from day one when Peter threatened to leave the band, even before our first gig, straight through today. And, you know, everybody, it's up and down and up and down. From day one, the guys that we formed the band with, I love Ace and Peter straight and hate them when they're high.
And all this is in the Kiss book, or Gene's book, Kiss and Makeup, in stores on Tuesday, that he's signing this Wednesday at Barnes & Noble on Astor Place here in the city. Really, the point I was getting to was that over the years, being a fan when the records came out, you know, Creatures comes out and Ace is on there, and the speculation amongst fans that they
about
play.
Destroyer. I beg your pardon.
But not only Destroyer, you know, for a long time people knew Anton played on Dynasty and Unmasked. You actually, for the first time, credit those musicians in the book of the box set.
It's important.
And it's interesting because it's the first time you've done it, but the only one that I found a disparity in is in the book. You talk about the fact that Psycho Circus is predominantly not Ace and Peter on the record.
It's not.
However, you credit them as, that's the only tracks in the box set where you credit them as being on the tracks.
No, they actually played on, here's what happened. At the beginning of recording Psycho Circus, Ace and Peter decided to team up together and decided to come back and renegotiate their contract. They wanted to get paid more for the albums. We had a deal. They wanted to renegotiate. The fourth time they renegotiated, by the way, since the reunion tour. And Paul and I just basically went, you know what, let the lawyers figure it out. Let's just stay friends and let the lawyers do what they do best. We don't agree with it, but let them find it out. We've got to continue making a record. P.S. Otherwise, the record company don't pay us. At the end of the day, by the way, Kiss is defined as Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley. Ace and Peter are not signed to Kiss or the record. They're not signed to the record contract, not since they left the band. Paul and I had the record contract under our names, and we could use anybody we wanted to, and did throughout the years. But we wanted Ace and Peter to be on the record. They didn't feel that they were getting paid their share. We thought they were. So there was a disagreement, and we decided, you know what? We're moving ahead. There's a producer, send in tapes and whatever, and if he thinks the record, you know, should be, you know, four-way square, everybody getting the same amount of songs on the record, that's the decision. That's why I have an outside producer. So I heard 6 songs, and Sebastian Bach and I talked, who's a great guy. He's very excited about 4 or 5 songs that he and Ace wrote. I didn't think they were good. I thought they were piss poor, as a matter of fact. But if the producer said, these are the records, these are the songs you're recording, you record them. Producer didn't pick any of them. Ace threatened Peter threatened, we're not coming in, we're not going to play. So we used other musicians, Kevin Valentine and Tommy Thayer. Tommy, who for many years was in Kiss tribute bands and had to teach Ace repeatedly, year after year, how to play his own solos because he forgot.
Tommy, of course, in Black and Blue also, which Gene produced, and Black and Blue opened for Kiss, and there's actually a new best of compilation of Black and Blue that just came out.
That's right.
Yeah.
And by the way, some of this sounds very disheartening to Kiss fans, to whom Kiss is, perhaps more than a band. And from where you sit at home, in your armchair, you see Ace is the innocent guy who wouldn't harm a fly, and that's true. And Peter's, the cute and cuddly guy who this and that, and Gene's the big bad wolf who's probably high on crack 24 hours a day and eats and breathes girls for breakfast and lunch. And Paul's, the cute guy and all this kind of stuff. You're only seeing the shadow. You don't have a clue who those people are because that's the stage personas. I'm a milk and cookies kind of guy. I do like girls. That part is true. But we'll have absolutely I have no patience for anybody that wants to stand around me and smoke cigarettes in my face or get high or get drunk. Do it on your own time. And that means girls who share my bedroom, you want to smoke or get high, pick another room. If you don't want to experience me with all the 5 senses that God gave you, then you're on crack and you don't deserve my presence. If you want to numb your senses, it's an insult to me because I'm glorious.
The full Gene Simmons experience. You would be shortchanging yourself, is what he's saying. This is a question I actually have. I'm glad that Jim, who's calling from Roseland, brought this up because I really wanted to find out and would love to have heard these recordings. Jim, fire away. You got Gene Simmons on.
Gene, how are you, Jim?
You know what? I'm great. If I was any happier, I guess I'd be delirious.
I was at the Tower Inn store the other day. It was great to see you and Paul down there.
It was good to see you, too.
Are you the same Jim that was outside the building for an autograph?
Yeah.
Are you on your cell phone or something?
Yeah. Jimmy Metal.
Jimmy Metal. What's up, Jim? Go ahead. Go ahead with your question.
For years, like the Coventry, the Eddie Van Halen work that was going to be on the demos that were done during the Love Gun sessions. I know Eric Carr's first show at the Palladium was talked about being in the box, or how hard did you guys fight to get that stuff in the box set? Because fans were dying for that stuff.
Yeah, I just reviewed the stuff again, and they're really picture-perfect sounding records that are fully mixed. It's Got Love for Sale, Tunnel of Love, which I recorded on my solo record in Christine 16.
And excuse me, we should clarify that these are recordings.
They are not on the box set.
But they are also recordings. Explain what it was that you brought basically Van Halen in without Roth, of course, to do these demos.
Yeah, okay. For those of you that are just tuning in for the first time and just landed on Earth, I found a band called Van Halen. I then convinced them not to sign with a yogurt manufacturer who was about to literally own the band.
Which is in the book also.
And flew them to New York and produced their first demo, which included the entire first record and a lot of other tunes that wound up through the years. And couldn't convince Bill Aucoin to sign them or the record company because Bill Aucoin thought that they looked like Black Oak, Arkansas. And I told him he was on crack again because nobody knew who that band was. And so what if they were there? This is the next big band in America. I really believed it. I couldn't convince anybody. So that band, I said to them, look, I've got you signed. Go back to L.A. after the tour. Let's see what happens. I got to go out on tour with Kiss. At the end of the tour, they got a deal with Warner's, and I tore up the contract. Consider this a gift. In the meantime, the guys and I stayed in touch, and I was in L.A. We'd just come back from Japan in 1977, and I wrote new songs. And I needed a bass player, a guitar player, certainly a lead guitar player. So I called Eddie and Alex. They came down, and we recorded as a trio. The 3 songs were Christine 16, Tunnel of Love, and Got Love for Sale, which was originally called Have Love Will Travel. And kept those tracks. We originally recorded those tracks. And, of course, I had the demos. And then when the box set came out, I tried desperately through management and Warner Brothers to have them let me do it. They wouldn't. That doesn't mean it's not going to appear one day, but so far they said, we don't think it's a good idea. So eventually you'll see the light of day. Plus I have Mongoloid Man with Joe Perry and lots of other stuff with a lot of cool guys from other bands.
This was the band saying no or the label saying no or both?
Good question. Eddie and I saw each other I don't know, a month or two ago on the street, and it's always very cordial. You know, he's doing great, by the way, for those of you.
Yeah, I was wondering.
No, he's okay.
Yeah.
He's fighting it, and, you know, everybody should say a prayer for Eddie, but looks like he's doing okay.
Good.
But in terms of who says no, you have to talk through management and record company, because it would be, makes everybody pissed off if you don't. So I got the word that it's no, and the sense I got that it was from the record company.
What songs were on the demo that you produced for Van Halen? Do you remember?
The entire first record.
Oh, it's all the tracks from the record?
Every single one. As a matter of fact, a lot of the ideas and arrangements were things I suggested that initially were hard to call down, including the that thing. I basically slowed it down and said, let me show you, because they had a car horn at the end of Running with the Devil, I think.
It's the beginning.
Yeah.
It's how it opens.
Except it connected, that was the end of another song. It was House of Pain, ended with the car horn, and I connected the car horn to Running with the Devil as one song. In other words, one went right into the other.
Right.
So the car horn slowed down. And I said, let me show you a trick I learned while we made our first record. When Black Diamond, by hand, you slow the 24 track, you VSO it, and then by hand turn it. So they loved the sort of sound effect, and it wound up on the first record.
So House of Pain was around at the time of the first record, because that didn't show up on a record till much later.
That's right. And as a matter of fact, it was a much more rockier first album sounding version. When I finally heard House of Pain, it was sort of more arranged, had more harmonies and so on.
See, with each conversation, it leads to other questions that I have, and I know we have people that want to talk to you, but when you're talking about weird sounds on records, this is one that I always wanted to know about. What is that at the end of Destroyer? That montage of noises at the end of Destroyer?
Bob Ezrin took, I don't know, as many as 10 different things. Some of them were backward loops, some of them was radio white noise, and created a pastiche. There's a guy, a German guy that the Beatles kept listening to, a guy named Stockhausen, who was about noise and creating symphonic noise, not necessarily based on music, but just sort of sounds put together. And so that was the idea of it. At the end of it was, it's like when you're going between radio stations in the 1800s, before they had digital radio and so on, you'd hear just this, like 10 different radio stations talking at the same time.
Gina, let's talk to Gina calling from Howell, our first lady of the interview here. Hi, Gina.
Hello.
You're on live with Gene Simmons.
Hi, Gene Simmons. I stood online 9 hours to see you at Tower Records with my 16-year-old son.
It's not my son, is it?
What?
It's not my son, is it?
No.
Okay. Just wondering.
And was it worth all those hours, Gina?
You know what? You ooze charisma, I have to tell you that.
Pardon me?
I said you ooze charisma, I have to tell you that.
You ooze charisma, which was a song on Dynasty.
You're very sweet. I appreciate it.
Did you know that was a song on Kiss Dynasty?
No, because I'm not a Kiss fan.
What am I doing here? Oh, okay.
But that's the magic. The magic is that new generations of fans can turn on to the band, which is really interesting because there's a kind of a planned obsolescence. Nobody wants their older brothers and sisters' band. And the highest compliment for me is, brand new fans who are coming on who didn't live through the first generations.
Gina, what's your question?
Okay, I was listening to your little philosophies on marriage and stuff like that.
No, it's okay.
But can it work for a woman?
Pardon me?
Can your philosophies work for a woman?
Absolutely. By the way, my philosophy about marriage.
I just hung up on her. That's a man's job. I just cut the woman off.
No, let me tell you. I'm writing a book now. I'm writing a second book now for Crown. That's going to be sort of this philosophical point of view. In fact, the Crown guy, Jason, who's with me, I told him some of the titles I'm tossing around, and he loved Christianity. So I may call the second one Christianity. Sort of a philosophical and moral overview of life as we know it, which is, again, the truth, not what they want you to believe. So the very same things I would tell a guy in terms of the biggest financial commitment you will ever make while you're alive is marriage. buy her a house and don't marry her. That'll be cheaper, okay? Because if you ever divorce her, she's going to take more than the United States government takes from the highest tax rate. And in return, the United States government at 48% will give you nuclear armed forces, a social security system, a highway system that runs over 4,000 miles. By the way, you can have as many liaisons, which means girls in another language, as you want without having to account for where you've been. If you get married, you are paying more than that, 50% of your gross income before you pay taxes. Then you got to pay taxes, number one. Number two, she can ask you where you're going, when you're coming home. You can't have any of her girlfriends. And by the way, she's not giving you any if she's got a headache, okay? So, by the way, in the same breath, when I tell guys never to get married if they want to hold on to their money and their sanity, I would tell the girls exactly the opposite. Marry as soon as you can and marry the richest guy, because it's going to be the single biggest financial bonanza of your life.
The words of Gene Simmons.
Because what does every woman do with her a-hole every day? She sends him to work.
You should just have him on a pedestal speaking in Times Square like this. Tell me those nuts in Times Square that speak. But I'm not saying you're a nut.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because what I talk about is truth. Did anything I say, is that untrue?
Ginny, who screens the calls here, she has some input on this.
I have to agree with someone who's married 20 years. I have to agree with everything he said about sending the husband out to work and
she loves
very honest. Married. I've been married now since I was 18. So.
And why did you get married?
I love him, and I was willing to make the commitment, and I'm a little nuts. So.
No, it has nothing to do with that. Here's the philosophy. At 18, two guys are talking. I say to Ed, "Hey, by the way, Ed, I got a blind date for you." Ed says, "What does she look like?" When your girlfriend tells you got a blind date, what do you say? "What does he do?"
Exactly.
Defense rests, Your Honor. Next case. If I tell you, Ed, this girl I got lined up for you, she's a secretary or collects garbage, you going, so what? What does she look like? If I tell you he's a garbage collector, what are you saying? I'm not going out with a garbage collector. And I'm saying, what does his job have to do with it? You want his money.
Right now, I can just hear every KISS fan in the tri-state area that listens to this show every weekend going, get off of this damn stuff. I want to know about the damn final KISS show. Trump, I'm going to kill you.
And I still got to say this, for the same guy that has this philosophy, I've been with the same girl 18 years. Shannon Tweed and I have 2 kids together, think she is the queen of all women, but I'll be damned if anybody besides the one who gave me birth, my mother, ever has the right to ask me to account for anything.
Gene Simmons, ladies and gentlemen, the opinions, the words, you'll see him in Times Square signing the book of Christianity on Crown. When is that out, Jason? 2003. 2003. That'll be followed by the special hardcover edition that will come in a chastity belt or something.
You have to rub it, and then it's the hardcover version.
Can we play a song?
Sure. Don't you want to take more questions
we do.
from the fans?
I do. I want to.
Ed wants to play songs. I want to talk to you guys, but
let's just play one song every once in a while. It's
all right. But it's a talk station now.
Not this show though. But this show obviously can be one.
Okay.
The KISS box set is out. A lot of excitement over this. It's selling like crazy.
Yep.
We've talked about it.
Already. The record company said it's already gold. So I don't know how they count these things, but they're about to award us another gold album.
What happens in a box set is each disc in the box counts as a unit.
Oh, really?
So if it's 500,000 to go gold on a single disc, a 5-disc set, Jeopardy math question, 5 into 500,000 is? School teacher? 100,000.
Oh, that's good.
So you sold 100,000.
Cool, and it just came out.
And I assume 200,000 would be platinum.
Is that the way it works?
Yeah, that's how it works with the box. That's at least what I was told.
I'll take it. He says we're almost platinum already?
That would be 200, yeah. And it charted in Billboard in the top 200 quickly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
For a box set.
Box sets never chart.
Well, that's the KISS Army in action. So I want to play, this was always one of my favorites from the studio side of Alive 2, Larger Than Life. Love the drums on this. Was it Peter?
This is absolutely Peter Criss. And when we recorded Alive 2, it was like, let's give the fans more. It was always about posters and something else. And we said, let's do Alive 2, but hey, why not give them one of the sides? That was my idea, as a matter of fact. Why not give them one of the sides of brand new tunes? Because Paul and I were constantly writing, and Ace had a couple of tunes lying around. P.S. Ace never showed up for any of the tracks on Alive 2, the new tracks. None of them.
Except Rocket Ride, obviously.
Rocket Ride. He did his track, never came down. We recorded it at the Capitol Theater in New Jersey, and this is Peter Criss playing boom. Like
Bonham-esque.
It's all Peter.
It's John Bonham-esque in a big way. A great drum sound too on this.
It was the Capitol Theater. Eddie Kramer put the mics in the back, and sort of he mic'd it the same way he mic'd John Bonham, because as you know, he engineered the Zeppelin records.
Right. And on lead guitar is who? Bob Kulick?
Bob Kulick.
This is Larger Than Life. It's on the Kiss box set, and of course from the studio side of Alive 2. Ginny, let's clear out these calls. We're sorry if you're holding, but a lot of these questions that people want to ask Gene, when we come back, we've addressed them all, and let's get some fresh calls. But actually, before we take more calls, we have a signed copy of the new Kiss and Makeup book that Gene has autographed. It's in stores again on Tuesday. Gene will be signing them this Wednesday at Barnes & Noble here in New York City on Astor Place at 6 o'clock.
And I was told, because I'm supposed to say this, I'll be on the Today Show Tuesday morning. Then right after that, I'm going to be with 4 pretty girls on The View, being skewered. That's one of my favorite things. And then later on in the day, I'll be on the...
I got to see the marriage conversation on The View.
I am fearless on that.
Oh, that's going to be great.
Because the first question I'm going to say is, okay, tell me the truth. Would you marry, you're an up-and-coming, young, success-motivated woman, would you marry a garbage man? And I'd love to see the one who said, oh, yeah, I don't care, it's all about love. Okay, it's all about love, then sign right here where it says, if we get divorced, you're not going to ask for a penny. Sign it right now.
That's going to be a good show. Let's clear out the lines. Ginny, clear everybody out. We're sorry if you've been waiting. Try to call back in after we play the song. Right now, 20th caller will get a signed copy of Kiss and Makeup from Gene Simmons.
Peter
and
Criss
Crown
playing
Publishing.
his heart out. Boom.
And blazing lead guitar work as well on this from
Bob Kulick.
Bob Kulick, Bruce's older brother.
Because Ace never showed up.
And Balder brother. Let's do it for you right now on Friday Night Rocks as we continue with Gene Simmons in the studio, 102.7 WNEW. That is great stuff from the studio side of Kiss Alive 2, also featured on the new Kiss box set, Larger Than Life. Gene Simmons' another sensitive, touching song from 1977 from Gene.
I think Rick Derringer was also on another track. I don't remember, but Derringer showed up. You know, lots of guys. And it's unfortunate because the reason we put together the band with Ace and Peters, we wanted them to play. Another little-known fact is even as far back as... like Come On and Love Me and stuff, that's not Ace on lead guitar, that's Paul. And sometimes when you hear bass, that's not always me. Sometimes it was even Eric Carr on one of the songs on Creatures.
I Still Love You.
Yeah, and sometimes we'd bring in another bass player from outside. Sometimes I play guitar. I played guitar on War Machine and... Almost Human, lots of stuff.
Your entire solo album, which you talk about in the book, where you didn't play bass at all on the entire record.
Nope.
Yeah. We got a winner on the book, obviously. It's John from Brooklyn, New York. He gets a copy of Kiss and Makeup, the Gene Simmons autobiography, which is in stores this coming Tuesday. So congratulations to John. We have more of those to give away, and we want to save some of them to give them away in a couple weeks when we do the Merry Kissmas show, where we play nothing but Kiss music. Always a big thing every year that we do here. So we'll do some more of those hopefully at that point as well. Ginny, if you can get me some more calls here. If you're calling for the book, hang up. If you're calling to talk to Gene, call right now, and we'll get you right on the air, and we'll let you guys fire away on what you want to ask Gene Simmons. I was asking Gene about what I wanted to ask you also is about the source tapes for some of this stuff, the demos and things like that. Did you have trouble, any problems? Did you have to find them, restoring them, anything you needed to do?
Yeah, there was some restoring going on, but I kept... a lot of those things myself through the years, even Paul's demos. He just doesn't hold on to his stuff. They go into a closet, and that's Paul. I always kidded him about it. But through the years, I saved up the, Don't You Hesitate, I think I got off one of my old tapes that we got. So some of the stuff, the source material, were cassette tapes, which held up remarkably well, which a few years ago we made into DAT tapes and sort of cleaned up. Some of them were from 24 tracks, but none of the original unreleased songs were remixed at all. All the original unreleased songs that were released stay in their original mixes. Just for posterity.
Right.
Joe posterity down the road.
And when you took them in to have it, to put this together, so you actually came in with cassettes and DATs and open reel?
Me physically, no. Tommy Thayer was responsible for sort of sheep herding all the sheep into the corral.
Right. Because there are songs and tracks, obviously, where the tape, it actually gives you a connection to that time and that place and what that is.
That was the time.
Right.
Yep.
A quick break. We'll come back as we got a ton of phone calls here for Gene Simmons, who's here with us in the studio. Again, the book is Kiss and Makeup, in stores on Tuesday. Packy's Nightclub, Packies.com on the web, and Vintage Vinyl Records, VVinyl.com on the web. And having some really enlightening conversation with Gene Simmons during the commercials. So we're going to...
You don't know where to go, do you? His head is spinning.
Girls,
you don't need to label
I'm just asking...
It's
First time I met
archaic.
Shannon Tweed.
That's her name, Shannon Tweed.
Okay.
You don't have to define it by ownership. That's an archaic, obsolete ideal. We're in the 21st century. Not only will you not be able to own another human being, you won't be able to own your own children if you have any. Sooner or later, they're going to say, whatever mom and dad wants, hey, it's my life. I'm going to do whatever I want. What makes the wives of America think that all the husbands who are going to Cleveland with their secretaries actually have meetings there? There's nothing in Cleveland. Why would you take your secretary there? Trust me, ladies, just get used to it. He loves you, but there are going to be others. Then we'll all be happier.
When you introduce Shannon to somebody, and I've heard you do this, you introduce her as the mother of my children. Do you not?
Absolutely. Or I
Right.
say, this is Shannon Tweed. This is not, hi, it's my wife, my car,
Right. No,
my
I'm not-
lawnmower.
Right.
There's no ownership. This is my human being. Wrong. It's archaic. Used to work. Slavery and wives used to be property. I remember seeing a movie called Soylent Green. The detective comes in, and there's a woman in there and a bodyguard. Detective comes in and says to the big guy, who are you? The guy says, bodyguard. Walks up to the girl and says, and you? She goes, furniture. Okay? She comes with the apartment.
Should we take calls from listeners?
Anytime.
Let's because I've waited many years to get you in the studio.
Now,
and
again,
the
the
fans
same-
have waited,
the
and they
same
are
guy-
going to kill me because
the
they got a million Kiss questions
Yeah, okay.
here. Go ahead, finish your point, though.
I say the same guy that has this philosophy of don't tell women what to do, and girls, don't tell guys what to do. When do you get to be free? When do we stop torturing each other? So, number one, you'll never get a penny from me. Get your own job and be a free, liberated woman. Don't take my last name. It's time to grow up. We're in the 21st century. Men are not allowed to torture women. If she wants to have her own lovers, tough, Vinny. She's going to do it. Bobby and Johnny. And likewise, same thing for men. If he wants to go out with 10 nurses, you have nothing to say about it. We're free. Good night.
The gospel. This is the gospel according to Gene
Stop
Simmons.
torturing.